What's up, y'all? It's Myles Turner, power forward and center for the Indiana Pacers. I'm with GQ today, babe. I'm gonna break down how I spent my first million. So one of the first things I did was I spent $10K on sneakers, Jordan specifically. Now, when I was in school, the only pair of shoes I had was a Converse Chuck Taylors. It was a black pair that I wore to school every day. Wore them to a pulp. They had holes in them and everything. But I couldn't really obviously afford like big name brands like the Nikes and the Jordans and whatnot. Once I finally got to the league, it was like my revenge tour to get every Jordan and every colorway. One of the first stores I went to was Undefeated. It was actually out in LA. I wear a size 18, so it's not, you can't just go to Foot Locker, grab them off the off the drawing. So I got up to about like 70 pairs of Jordans, and I still got them all to this day in a big closet back home. But yeah, bro, 10K go a long way. If you don't know me, now you know, bro. I'm big into the Lego universe. One of the very first things I did too was I copped a bunch of Lego, bro. Like, I'm talking like 10 to 15, 20 different sets. And if you know about that, you know how expensive and how lucrative that can be. Another thing I did too was I got a whole bunch of Nerf guns. Man, I got drafted at 19, bro. It's just it's a big old kid. I had these Nerf guns with all the mods, bro. It had a silencer on it, red dot sights, banana clips. I actually stayed with a couple of my boys, and that's one of the main things we would do is just set up the house like whole ass like forts and everything, bro. Have like big old like Nerf wars and whatnot. I'm talking like Call of Duty, like diving, like jumping around. Like it used to get to it. One big thing in the Lego universe is called the Cloud City set. And it's a minifigure in there. It's a Cloud City Boba Fett from Star Wars. Like he go for about $2,500 now. I did the big Millennium Falcon that just came out, the UCS set, the Notre Dame Cathedral, and then the Rome Coliseum. Hundreds of thousands of pieces of Lego. I got a whole collection back at the crib, but if you know me, you know it's out there. The Ford Raptor. I'm gonna tell you right now, I was never really into cars and all that type of stuff, but being from Texas, I had to get me a truck, and specifically a 2014 Ford Raptor, bro. It was just something about it. It was like a sports car in like a pickup truck. Where I'm from, bro, like, it's not really a flex to have like the Lamborghinis. When you have them big old pickup trucks and you put them on dualies and whatnot, like that's the real flex right there. My senior year of high school, I was like, bro, if I ever come into some bread, like that's gonna be the truck I get specifically. I blacked it out, murdered it out and whatnot. I put subs underneath the seats. I had pipes under it so it sounded more aggressive. Yeah, man, that was my baby for the longest. Unfortunately, I don't got her no more. She's on to, to better things, but I love that Raptor. A lot of people helped me get to where I'm at. It take a village. I spent $50K on my trainers who helped me all the way from middle school to high school. And I also sponsored my middle school team, bought them all jerseys and shoes. You gotta give back, man. I feel like that's one of the biggest things. You're paving the way for the next generation of athletes that are coming through. I had to take care of the ones that took care of me. I go back and watch some games here and there and just try to support as much as I can. Shout out to Euless Trinity High School, man, Central Junior High. So speaking of giving back, again, one of the most important things to me is giving back to the people that helped me get here. I had my basketball camp back home in Herschulus, Bedford. I went back to my high school and was able to put on a free camp, for all the kids. They didn't pay anything. Through my foundation, Workers Role Models, so also known as WARM, I was able to make that happen. WARM serves the community. It's one of the things where we work with the less fortunate and the homeless. And what we do is put together these go bags. So when it's cold like it is now, 20 degrees outside, see, it's homeless folks or just less fortunate people, you have these packs in the back of your car. It could be toothbrush, toothpaste, maybe some snacks, hand warmers, anything you can think of, you put it in a pack and you have it in the back of your car and just, give it out as you go. Through that foundation, I was able to fund my camp. It's huge, man, because I know a lot of people look up to me, where I'm from a smaller town. So just giving back to the people that, poured into me. It's one thing to make $1 million, another thing to save $1 million. So one of the first people to give me advice, come into this league, his name is Chris Bosh, Hall of Famer. He told me, when you come into your funds, like it's gonna be easy for you to go blow it on cars and jewelry and houses and stuff like that. But he just advised that, you get with a good financial advisor, give it a good lawyer, and just make sure your money's working for you. One of the first things I did was actually invest in some land back in like rural Texas. Also invested in the stock market, obviously invested in my retirement, and I invested into some buildings as well as some real estate. The advice I give to anybody coming up is to try to save that first check as much as possible. My 19-year-old mind wasn't really working like that. Again, I got some really good advice and was able to, make some good investments for myself to this day. So again, talk about funding the journey, you feel like you can never repay, the people that's close to you for, for everything they've done for you. So what I did was, I took this $150K right here. I was able to get my grandparents and my parents and my immediate family out of debt. I didn't grow up rich, I didn't grow up poor, I was like real lower middle class, if you will. But one thing my parents did an amazing job of is making us feel like we were rich, rich in love, just rich in, the spirit that we had around the house. Bank accounts didn't necessarily reflect that, but the feeling just as a kid, we never really felt like we had to, struggle for too much. It was even crazy. My mom, she emptied her retirement fund, to fund me going on all my AAU events in the summertime and, would cover flights, cover travel, and just fund the journey, fund the dream. So I told myself, if I ever wouldn't make it, that's gonna be the first thing I do is, just clear the debts and just have a new lease on life and start fresh. So this is the least I can do. Hold up. There we go. I spent $150K on a team around me. What I mean by that is I hired a personal chef, I hired a personal assistant, and I also hired a business manager. I grew up and I watched the show Entourage. Entourage was like a big influence on my career and just kind of where I'm at. And I saw the way the main character, the protagonist there, kind of constructed his team around him. As an athlete, you can't just go eat fast food before a game, you know what I'm saying? Or just go eat a pizza for a game. That'll probably work your first year when you're 19, 20 years old, but then, so I hired a chef and there's also a nutritionist to make sure I only have to worry about basketball. And her name is Fatima Duma, Chef V, one of the best at what she do. Also hired a business manager just to, if I wanna go out and see this deal or I see Lego or something like that, it's just getting in touch with the right people and putting them in the right place. These are guys that spend a lot of time away from their families and make sure that I'm straight, and I still have them employed to this day. So shout out to my team, man. Taylor Wilson, got you, man. I like thinking of myself as an artist. I've always kind of had an artistic eye, if you will. And one of the things I did when I first got to the crib in Indy, and I spent about $50K myself just to go design the place. I decided not to hire an interior designer. I decided to be my own interior designer, use my own artistic eye. I went to all the little stores. I went to the Ikeas, the At Homes, the Home Goods. I'm huge in plants. I feel like plants are great for the energy and the air around you, and I'm a plant dad at that, so I'm one of the dudes that be talking about plants and all that. All the artwork and just all the stuff I had around the crib. I decided just to do everything myself, put my own touch on things. It was fun for me, something I spent a lot of time on and something I took a lot of pride in, and I just enjoy that process, if you will. That's a wrap. GQ, appreciate y'all for having me, man, and remember, man, always count your chicken, man. Always count your chicken.